Hey folks, welcome back. Don't you miss being a kid? Everything was just so much more exciting back then. When you saw a movie, it was all that you could think about until you got it on DVD and watched it every day for 6 months. But for a lot of people, one of the most fundamental experiences during their childhood was video games. The games that we played as kids hold a special place in our heart forever. Trust me, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory for GameCube isn't as good as you remember it being. Childhood. What a wonderful time. No responsibilities, no worries. All you had to be concerned about was whether or not your mom was going to make you hang out with that weird kid down the street because she's worried that he's going to light the school on fire if he doesn't make any friends. But everything is so magical as a kid. Every single experience is mind-blowing. These days I go to Niagara Falls and I'm like, yep, it's falling water. But as a kid, I was like, holy shit, water? And that's the same for video games. I mean, sure, you can still have plenty of amazing experiences with video games as an adult, but nothing quite hits like the games you played when you were young. Back in the day, it took me months to beat games like Spyro 3, Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, Sonic Adventure 2. Now I spend $80 on Resident Evil Village and complete it in an afternoon. It's like a monthly tradition for me to start and beat Donkey Kong Country in one sitting. And I mean, that's not a bad thing. I'm just older now. I'm better at video games. I've been playing them for 20 years. I should certainly hope that my performance has improved. But there's just something special about those childhood experiences of video games. We all have them. Maybe you grew up with Ocarina of Time, perhaps Ratchet and Clank. Maybe I should start looking into retirement homes and your childhood was defined by Halo 3. For me, one of the most influential game consoles of my childhood was, believe it or not, the Super Nintendo. I mean, sure, it was 2 generations behind at the time, but that didn't stop 7-year-old me from having a damn good time with Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2, Super Mario World, Super Metroid, Mario Paint, the list goes on. All that said though, no game from the Super Nintendo had quite the profound impact on my childhood as Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. I played the shit out of Yoshi's Island as a kid, man. All day I'd be at school and all my friends would be saying was, oh, I can't wait to go home and play Mario Kart Double Dash or Kingdom Hearts or Halo or some other game that came out this century. And I'd be like, gotta finish my math homework so I can boot up the good old Super Nintendo. We weren't poor, and it wasn't a hand-me-down. I really don't have an explanation. Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, or as everyone on Earth calls it, Yoshi's Island, was released in 1995 on the Super Nintendo. The character of Yoshi, after debuting in Super Mario World as a mount you can ride on, immediately gained massive popularity among fans, which led to a couple spin-off puzzle games, Yoshi in 1991 and Yoshi's Cookie in 1992. Due to his popularity, head honcho Shigeru Miyamoto decided that Yoshi needed to have his own original adventure game. So he enlisted a group of developers and artists and stuff with long Japanese names to create Yoshi's Island, and the rest is history. So without further introduction, let's get into that story, baby. Because believe it or not, there is actually a story, and it's pretty good. The game starts with this little puppet theater looking intro kind of thing, for some reason set to a really sad music box tune. A stork is flying to deliver baby Mario and baby Luigi to their parents. I'm not 100% sure, but I think this might have been the first time where it was confirmed that Mario and Luigi are actually twins, so that's kinda neat. But hark, here comes Kamek! He fucking barrels into the stork, stealing baby Luigi and dropping his brother into the open sea. However, as luck would have it, baby Mario happens to have been dropped right over an island that is home to the Yoshis, and he drops right onto a green Yoshi's back, totally unharmed. Meanwhile, Kamek, Luigi in hand, furiously sends out his army of toadies to kidnap baby Mario. And so the goal of the game is to reunite baby Mario with his brother while also trying to prevent him from being kidnapped. We then get to the title screen. You know, I always thought it was strange, but also kind of cool that the title screen doesn't have any music. It's just atmospheric sounds of water hitting the shore. It was a kind of interesting choice. Wait a minute. I am not kidding when I say that I genuinely did not know until now that the title screen had music. What a bold move to compose a whole ass song, and a really awesome song at that, to not even start playing until you've been sitting on the title screen for 20 full seconds. I guess it just goes to show how bad my ADHD was. I was just so fucking eager to start the game that I couldn't bear to sit in the title screen for a little bit. But anyway, the actual game starts and we get another cutscene showing Yoshi discussing with his buddies, Yoshi, 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 and Yoshi, as to what they should do with this baby that's fallen into their care. I like when they bend over and look at him. They're like, "Why you got that big hat for?" Turns out Mario knows where he wants to go, so the Yoshis set off on a quest to reunite him with his brother. It's here that we get to see the game's actual art style after the cutscenes had that kind of neat 3D rendered look to them. Alright folks, get ready, because it's about time for me to go on a tangent about something completely unrelated. There is a long-standing rumor that Shigeru Miyamoto, Mario/Zelda/Donkey Kong guy, was vocally critical of Donkey Kong Country, which is largely attributed to this vaguely sourceless quote from him saying, "Donkey Kong Country proves that players will put up with mediocre gameplay as long as the art is good." And I mean, I think it's pretty well known that Miyamoto doesn't feel this way. He made a statement directly contradicting that in 2010, and from what I can tell, there's no hard evidence to show that he even actually ever said that. However, now put on your conspiracy hats for a second, because I'm gonna blow your fucking mind. I think that the reason this sentiment became so well known is because of Yoshi's Island. Yoshi's Island was developed late in the Super Nintendo's life. So late, in fact, that Mario 64 was already well into development. And during that time, a lot of Super Nintendo games being released had that 3D rendered, almost pre-Nintendo 64 kind of realistic look. Donkey Kong Country, Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, even licensed games like Batman Forever and Toy Story were jumping on the ugly bandwagon. The development team behind Yoshi's Island, on the other hand, very adamantly refused to use that style. They wanted the game to have a classic sprite-based art style. So basically my hypothesis is Miyamoto says no polygons allowed, people interpret him as saying Donkey Kong Country bad game. I wasn't sure where else to put that. But anyway, Yoshi's Island. You start in this little tutorial stage where you learn pretty much all the mechanics of the game, which are, believe it or not, actually relatively complicated for a stupid little side-scrolling platformer. Obviously, you can die in the game by falling into pits or landing on insta-kill spikes, but Yoshi's Island has a pretty interesting system for taking damage. Basically, every time you get hit, Mario flies off your back and starts floating around in a bubble, and you have to get him back before the little timer in the top right runs out. Otherwise, he'll get taken away by Kamek's cronies and you'll lose a life. Now herein lies a very common criticism of Yoshi's Island. "Oh, baby Mario cried, it's so annoying, bad game, bad game." Yeah, baby Mario cries, duh, he's a baby. I'm sorry, but I completely and totally disagree with this criticism. Sure, it's annoying, but think about it. It happens when you get hit. It's an incentive to avoid getting hit. At the most primal monkey brain level, pop bubble, make bad noise go away. Plus, it adds this unique situation where you have to chase down the bubble and get Mario back while still avoiding the shit going on the level. It's fucking genius. In every other video game, you have punishments for getting hit. Mario gets smaller, Kirby has a health bar, Link loses a heart. This is such a cool, unique way to handle taking damage. You can always recover from it, but there's a challenge to it, especially if you're in a level with a lot of obstacles or something. It's funny that people complain about Mario crying because I would listen to that all day over the noise that the monkeys make, which is also the noise that the mouse enemies make, and the noise that ice makes when you run on it. Holy shit, man, they had a lot of fun with using that sound effect. Anyway, rant over. The other main unique mechanic in Yoshi's Island is the whole thing surrounding the eggs. So Yoshi has always very confusingly had the ability to eat things and instantaneously convert them into eggs. I don't understand how it works, and frankly, I don't really know if I want to know how it works. In Yoshi's Island, you can lick things. Let me rephrase that. You can tongue stuff. There's no winning. Yoshi will stick out his tongue left, right, or up, and if something's in the way, he'll pull it into his mouth. You can either spit it out, which works as a projectile, or you can press down and Yoshi will convert it into an egg, which will follow him around. You can then use the eggs as projectiles, either to attack enemies or grab collectibles. I mean, other than that, Yoshi's Island is a pretty standard 2D platformer in terms of controls. You needn't hold a button to run, Yoshi zooms all on his own, and you can ground pound, and I really like the noise it makes. You can jump, obviously, but this game cemented Yoshi in the list of video game characters who can fly. And when I say that, I mean video game characters who can fly? After a jump, if you hold down the button, you can do this pathetic little flutter thing, which you can use to reach slightly higher platforms, have a little bit of ease in determining where you land, and if you're good at it, you can use it to get across long gaps. Now look, let me level with you. I fucking love Yoshi's Island. I legitimately have nothing bad to say about it. Except for the auto-scroll levels, those can fuck off. In my opinion, it's one of the best video games of all time. It's definitely in my top 5. So I hope you weren't hoping for Angry Ben, because you're not going to get it. What you're actually going to get is watching a grown-ass man talk about why a video game made for babies is the best game ever made. There are nothing but things to love about Yoshi's Island. For starters, the controls are sublime. They're so tight and responsive. Running fast and repeatedly jumping is fun, but it's also fun to slow down and take your time. The levels don't have any time limits or even a heads-up display, so you're totally free to just explore and figure out the level on your own. The whole mechanic with eggs is so well integrated, it becomes as second nature as jumping. Making eggs has this little split-second delay, which isn't long enough to be annoying, but just long enough to make you have to be careful about where you do it. It's kind of like Simon's Whip in Castlevania. It has this slight delay to it that makes you be strategic about when you attack enemies. The game actually has a good amount of challenge to it, especially in the later worlds. And yeah, I'm sure you're like, oh yeah, Ben, I bet Yoshi's Adventure in Baby World is really tough. I bet you wish you were playing an easy game like Dark Souls right now, huh? I never said it was as hard as Dark Souls. But it's not just the controls, man. Everything about this game is fucking beautiful. For one thing, visually, it's one of the best looking games on the Super Nintendo, if not of all time. Everything is brightly colored and uses minimal shading and highlighting. The backgrounds are so detailed, and yet they don't distract from the foreground. The idea when developing Yoshi's Island was to make it look like it was colored with crayons, and it definitely gets that across. In my opinion, visually it reminds me of a children's picture book, which fits into the cutscene at the beginning. All the sprites have so much style and personality to them. Yoshi is so alive and animated, and he has so many different facial expressions. Mario's hat starts flapping around when you run. When you look up, he looks up a second later. There are so many memorable enemies. The big fat shy guys, the baseball guys that catch your eggs and pitch them back at you, the monkeys that spit watermelon seeds at you, the big water/lava monster guys. One thing I actually just noticed in my most recent playthrough are these little guys. Well, I mean, no, I saw them. I'm not blind, but just let me explain. In the few of the castles, there are these little lines of shy guys who drop torpedoes on you, so you gotta kind of bait them to drop and then move out of the way. I only just learned recently that if you ground pound, they'll drop the torpedo, and then they'll look at you as if they're appalled with your manners. They'll also get all tisk-tisk with the shy guy who got scared and dropped the torpedo, and he gets all sad. That's what I'm talking about, baby. This game has so much personality to it. I feel like I should take it out on a nice date to a fancy restaurant, which I want to do because I love it. There's also the music. This game's soundtrack just fits the visuals so well. You got the main level themes, the wacky fast-paced song that plays in the levels with the gimmicks and the ones where the screen moves on its own. The spooky atmospheric underground theme. The scary, dreading castle music. And the music that plays when you beat a level is so triumphant and the screen dances for you. But you know what, let me be real with you. The music is great, the art style is great, the controls are great. Sure. But you know what puts this game into a league of its own? You're probably going to be able to guess because it's pretty obvious. The reason that Yoshi's Island is the best fucking game ever made is because of the gameplay and level design. Every single level in this game is exciting, unique, memorable. There are so many levels that I've always remembered. Touch Fuzzy, Get Dizzy, What's Gusty Taste Like. There's the level with the big chain chomp guys that jump at you from the background, the level where you ski down a mountain. The game is constantly throwing new stuff at you. It never just settles for the stuff that it's already shown you. A lot of levels have fun little puzzles that you can do to get the collectibles. My favorite example is this one where you have to throw an egg at this baseball guy and then run down so that he can pitch the egg at the flower. In my opinion though, perhaps the best example of creativity in the gameplay are the bosses. In general, most of the enemies in this game are dispatched one of two ways. You can eat them or you can throw an egg at them. Now they could have made the bosses the same, throw eggs until they die, but instead every single boss in this game puts you in a completely unique scenario where you have to figure out what to do. Except for Bert the Bashful, but he's the first boss, so he gets a pass. Like the Potted Ghost from 2-4, you don't use a single egg against this guy. You just gotta push him off the edge while 2 Shy Guys push the other way, and you gotta avoid the fireballs he shoots at you and stuff. Marching Mildy from 4-4, eggs don't even work on him. You gotta ground pound him until he turns into smaller guys. Raphael the Raven from 5-8 transports you to this little planet, and you gotta wait for him to be on the opposite side of you and then ground pound the posts so that they hit him. And even when you have to use eggs, it still gives you a fun, unique battle. Slavo the Slime from 1-8, he bursts into a bunch of little smaller slimes and he gets harder to hit the smaller he is. Bigger Boo from 2-4, where you gotta ricochet eggs off the wall because you can't hit him when you're looking at him. Naval Piranha from 3-8, you gotta skip eggs along the water to hit his weak spot. And I could go on, that's only like half the bosses, but I'll show some restraint. Okay, I'm gonna pump the brakes here. The point is, I love this game and I could sit and talk about it for hours, but eventually I feel like it would just be me listing the many reasons that I love it so much. Basically what I'm trying to say is Yoshi's Island is a masterpiece. If you like 2D platformers, go play it right now, or so help me God, I'll come to your house and I'll unravel all your toilet paper off the roll and then put it back so that it's all fucked up. See, I love this game so much that's as aggressive as I can be with my threats.